Hi, everybody. How are you doing today? So, I and Joe English, my buddy, are sending our regards. What do you think we should be doing today, Joe? Huh? Discuss Jack London's The Law of Life? Okay, let's do that. So, let's share the PowerPoint and discuss some questions on Jack London's The Law of Life. Okay, Jack London's The Law of Life. Okay, we talked in a previous bed about this before, and we continue to answer some questions about Jack London's The Law of Life before. Okay, speak about the writer Jack London. Okay, Jack London was born in 1876 in San Francisco, California. He is an American novelist and short story writer whose best known works, The Call of the Wild, White Fang, also shows struggle for survival. So, struggle for survival. So, this theme of struggling for survival or fighting for life and eventually death is recurrent in his writings, not just in our uh, piece of literature that we discussed today, which is the law of life, but also in other stories he has written, such as the Call of the Wild or White Fang. Okay, what is the significance of the title? The law of life. We understand as we read this story that death is a law of life. Everybody will have to face death at a certain age, probably because of disease, probably because of old age, or even without any apparent reason. It is just the law of life. Everybody who lives in this life will have to face death one day. So it's a law or rule of life. A tribe is a group of people gathered together in one place. Speak about the origin tribe in the law of life. They are members of nomadic native tribes whose customs are shaped by the harsh conditions of the Arctic. They live abiding by their rules that London consider a little bit harsh or brutal. Yeah, they live in very hostile circumstances and environments where it's very cold, snow is everywhere, the degrees are way below the zero, and so on. And they are nomadic. They have to go from one place to the other, asking for food, which is, as we explained in a previous video, mostly salmon and moose, which is an animal that resembles a deer, and they search for uh, branches of trees or pieces of wood to use that to make fire for warmth. What are the conditions of life for the tribe described in the story? They live in a snowy environment. Their only source of heat is just wood fires, as we say now. Their only transportation is by dog sled. They obtain their food by fishing for salmon or hunting for moose. What is the setting of the story? It is set in the cold woods of Alaska around the Klondike area. Kaskush is an elderly man. Tell more about his condition and traits do the main character display. We know he's an old man, all right. He used to be the chief of his tribe, but now he is old. His sight is a little bit fading. He can't see clearly as he used to, but his hearing sense is still acute. And he is emotionally tough, but he's now older, okay? And He's a kind of reflective guy. He was brave, and he's still brave, but because of old age, he's not as strong as he used to be. Okay, all right. What is happening in the opening scene of the story? A grandfather is sitting alone in the snow while the camp is breaking around him. Sidkum Tuha is his granddaughter. Speak about her reaction towards her grandfather. She's too busy to waste a thought upon him, and yeah, she's just busy with her life. And we know that the tribe, including her, will leave old Kaskush on his own and leave because he's not able to move around with them as much as they do that, or when he was younger, he used to do that, but he couldn't do this anymore. Life called her, and duties of life, not death, comment. This was said about Sitkum Tuha and how she reacted towards her grandfather and her own life. So this clarifies the way she's dealing with him. How was old Koskush reassuring himself? Well, the thought of death made him panic, so he stretched his tired hands to make sure that a pile of sticks of wood was still next to him to use for uh, making fire as a source of warmth in that snowy environment. Okay, who is the current chief of the tribe? Describe his character. Kaskush's son, he's a rugged and strong man, and now he's a head of the tribe, and he's a good hunter, as his father used to be. Okay? All right, from whose point of view we are experiencing events? We are experiencing events from old Kaskush point of view. Okay? Identify some of, sorry for that. Identify some of the ideas running through the main character's mind. Okay, the main ideas, or the main idea actually, and the main theme of the story, the whole story is about the inevitability of death. Now, as he's an old man, he's coming close to death. He feels he's not as young or as strong as he used to be, and that this thought is taking a bigger area or a bigger place in his mind, the inevitability of death. Okay, who returned back from the trail, and why was Koskush surprised? His son came to check back on him, and he was surprised as not all sons do that. Do you think Koskush is well, and why does he answer this way? He isn't, all right. When somebody asks him how he is, he always say he's well, but he is not. He has some serious health problems because of old age. He doesn't complain though, and he even doesn't mention these health problems. Instead, he says everything is fine. Probably because he knows even if he talks about some health problems he has, this will not be, you know, people around him will not actually be able to do anything to help because the environment they lived in were very harsh and they couldn't do much to him in his condition and in his old age. Okay. Well, it is well. I am as a last year's leaf clinging lightly to the stem. Comment. These words are said by the old chief, and this summarizes his own condition right now. He is like a uh, last year's leaf clinging lightly to the stem, waiting to be severed or separated from the stem, and so it withers and dies. That's how he sees himself in his old age. Again, he's an old man, he is approaching death, and he knows as a law of life he will end up being dead, just as all living human beings at a certain point they will experience that. It is very recurrent. This theme or idea is very recurrent in Jack London's writings, not just in our story we are considering today, which is the law of life, but in almost most or all of his writings, he somehow talks about death as a rule of life and struggling to survive and fighting to live and so on. Okay. What serious illness forced Jack London to leave Alaska? He suffered from scurvy that is characterized by a lack of some essential vitamins. So he had to leave Alaska and he lived in San Francisco. Okay. Uh, how is the writer's own experience with illness reflected in the story? It has given him a sense of how frail life is and sometimes how difficult it is for people to survive when they have serious health problems and so on. What phases would occur after the sticks are burnt off? The sticks of wood that old Koskush was left with when the tribe left him alone. Step by step, death would creep upon him. When the last stick had surrendered up its heat, frost would begin to gather strength, and first his feet and extremities would be frozen, and then his body, step by step, until he would fall forward upon his knees and would rest. Uh, so everybody who stays in the open in snow where there is no source of heat would end up like that, like be frozen, and so the body cannot fight anymore. So the body would surrender and he would basically die. Okay. The story speaks about the concept of life and death. Elaborate? Yeah, the story says it was the way of life. Death was the way of life. We had been born close to earth we lived, and the law thereof was not new to us. It was the law of all flesh, that at certain point all people will die, and so they will be buried in earth, okay, from dust and into dust. So keep reading literature. We'll be discussing, stories like Jack London's The Law of Life and other interesting short stories and novels and dramas as well. Why should we read literature? For two main reasons. It's a good way to enjoy and a window into how writers think, how other characters like the protagonist of this story think. It's life experiences being shared, and also it's a good window on the culture because language and culture are inseparable. So my advice to you is to read literature, read the genre that you prefer. If you prefer drama, so read drama. If you prefer poetry, read poetry. If you prefer novels or novellas or short stories, read that. You can as well read prose, nonfiction prose, I mean. Whatever genre of literature you read, it's a good way also to practice your language along with getting to know the culture and so on. Okay? So keep on enjoying and reading English literature or American literature, and it's a good way to practice your language as well. Okay? So I will see you in the next one. Till we do that, keep on reading literature. Thank you.